because a lot of it sometimes is generational.
Yes.
You were beat up, so
You
your
that's the
head
only way
is
you know. It's the only way you
exactly,
know to express your
exactly,
frustration.
yeah.
It's the only
So
way
you
you know to
repeat
correct
it,
the
yeah.
situation. Yeah.
So yeah, so you have to break that cycle and then let people know it cannot be this way.
You're about to meet the first one. Her name is Monique Clesta, and she has an amazing story to tell. Her book is just about to hit the stands, and she's going to tell you all about it. So I'm just going to bring her on, and she's going to introduce herself to you. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Rhonda. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm truly honored.
Well, I'm very honored to have you here. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Now
So,
you want to hear about myself.
absolutely. That's exactly what I was about to ask.
Well, I am a published author. This is my third book. My first two books were in French, and it
Hmm.
was a novel, and the second one was a collection of short essays. And I am also a journalist and have been published by the New York Times, Foreign Affairs, Washington Post,
Wow.
et cetera. And they mostly dealing with politics and the analysis. And so that's who I am. But on the side, I've worked numerous years in the development field, international development, and in
Mhm.
Haiti and mostly in Africa. And since my retirement in 2016, I have been really very active in service in terms of
Mm.
the pro-democracy movement, feminist organizations, the fight against women, gender-based violence, as well as fighting for more women to be involved in politics in Haiti.
Wow.
That's who I am, in addition to being mother of two and grandmother of four.
Well, first of all, that is an amazing story. When did you realize this was what you wanted to fight for? This was the platform that you wanted to stand on.
Well, I think it kind of grew on me. It wasn't, at the beginning, it really wasn't, this is what I want to fight for. It really, I think, came from a lot of the experiences that I talk about in the book. I myself was a victim of domestic violence. And from when I was a little girl, and it really was my grandmother. And then in my first marriage, I was a victim of domestic violence. And
Wow.
I think that, these experiences really kind of framed me and made me the woman I am. And I talk about that in the book in terms of people didn't come to help me. People didn't say this shouldn't happen
Mm.
when my grandmother was beating me. Nobody said no. And somewhere along the line, I think people have to say no, this has to stop. And a lot of the
Right.
silence that I break in the book about a huge secret that I found out is really to say, no, this should not happen. We have to stand in solidarity with victims, because in fact, the moment that a victim speaks, she's no longer a victim. And the moment that
She's a
one gives a
survivor.
hand to
Yes.
the victim, you bring that person out of that victimhood. And so I think these are the life experiences that I had that shaped the choices that I made without a lot of the times me realizing that I was making a conscious choice. And that was a direction that I went to.
You know, as you were speaking, I thought about, there was a time, when and I'm talking domestic violence within male female relationships, or as well as familiar relationships, where sometimes people felt like, okay, well, they're beating me because they love me, and people don't speak up because they think, okay, this is the way that this person is showing you love, or you must have done something wrong, and they've gotten so used to that cycle of violence that they think that it's the norm. So I
Yeah.
believe sometimes that's why people don't speak up, and I'm wondering, I know that was the truth for a lot of people back in the day here in the United States, but was that same belief um, prevalent in Haiti as well?
I think it is prevalent. It's part of the patriarchal kind of growing up in most countries. And I remember a friend of mine who, a man, as a matter of fact, who told me that somebody
Hmm.
was beating up his wife across the street, and he told the guy, "Please go and tell the guy to stop." And then the guy said, "But you don't know what he's beating her for." And so it's
Right.
kind of like there has to be a reason. And I actually wrote an article that was published, and somebody actually wrote a kind of reply to the article and said, but Mrs. Clesta presented her case, but she didn't say what her husband was beating her up for. So
Right.
this
Like
is
he had to have a
common.
good reason for doing what he did.
Exactly. This is very common, and it's part of why we have to talk about these things. We
Right.
really must not only talk about them, we really must provide solutions, and these stories must be told. And I think in terms of finding solutions, it is important. And the book, in a way, is about healing also, healing from
Yes.
the violence, telling people that there are ways out of them, that it does not define you. Because a lot of it sometimes is generational.
Yes.
You were beat up, so
You
your
that's the
head
only way
is
you know. It's the only way you
exactly.
know to express your
Exactly.
frustration.
Yeah.
It's the only
So
way
you
you know to
repeat
correct
it.
the
Yeah.
situation. Yeah.
So yeah. So you have to break that cycle and then let people know it cannot be this way. So
Hmm.
I am happy to say that there is a lot of healing in the book, beginning with me, and I'm hoping that people who will read it also would feel some of the grace that I talk about, and will heal from some of the violence that they have dealt with in their lives, and that they
Right.
also can extend a hand to others who are dealing with that.
Now, I don't know if you saw the question that Mildred Antonor put in the chat. She asked if you experienced healing as you were writing the book. But I would like to take that question a step further, because there are people out there who are going through what you went through. They may have survived what they've gone through, but they're not ready to revisit that time in their lives to write it down. And
Yeah.
so I'm wondering, when did you make up your mind that I need to write about this? I need to tell other people what I went through. And where do you feel that you were totally healed at that time when you decided to write the book? Or did healing, as Mildred asks, come later as you were writing?
I think the healing came as I was writing, because in fact there was another trauma that I suffered. I was in Haiti
Hmm.
during the earthquake, and afterwards I had post-traumatic stress. And I think it's probably something that you're familiar with, having such experience in the army, having seen
Yes.
so many people go through all of that. And it was really, when I went to see the psychologist, it was, well, what is it that you like to do? What is it that you can do that you think might take you out of it? And it was writing. So I started writing and kept on writing and kept on writing and kept on writing, a lot of tears. Sometimes I couldn't even read the story because
Wow.
it was so hurtful. And the healing started coming out of that, trying to remember, trying to see, and trying to find out why. There were so many hurts, there was so much trauma, and going through all of the experiences of my childhood. And then I started discovering secrets that, secrets, things that I was not told, and things that
Wow.
because others were protecting themselves or thought they were protecting us by not telling us. And the healing came from that.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one experience that I lived through, that when I found out this huge secret and started writing about it, it took me about 2 years. And I had to actually stop writing because it was such a shock. I couldn't deal with it, and processed it,
Mm.
and then started writing again, starting finding other ways to tell the story. And until I was healed, I could not finish that story. And so finally I did finish it. And so the healing was a process, because you don't just,
Yeah.
okay, I'm healed. No,
I'm
it's
ready now.
yes, yes. It was very much a process that I went through, and I'm happy I went through it and came out of it okay. So I really encourage people to read the book and kind of go through the process of growing up in a way with the book, and seeing all the things that you just have to kind of let go. And
Yes,
sometimes you have to speak your truth, and
absolutely.
I had a teacher who said that, family is happy, family is unhappy if you don't write about them, but they are
Mm.
happy when you write about them, but they're also very unhappy when you say things that they think you
Right.
should not have
They
said.
want to be in the book, but they only want to be in glowing circumstances. You can only say nice
Exactly.
things.
Exactly. But it's your book and it's my book.
Yes.
And I had to
It's
tell
your
those
truth and
stories.
it's
Exactly.
your truth, it's your story, and you have to tell your story the way you
Yeah.
see fit, or else it
Yeah.
won't
And
come
I could
across as
not keep
authentic.
silent. Yeah. I could not keep
Absolutely.
silent about some of the truths that I found out, that I discovered. I could not keep silent. Too many people had suffered.